is about the law and people. That is not a legal defense, let me tell you. And how people can resolve and better themselves.
Justice with passion.
I knew I was going to go into law because I always defended everybody. I was always the one who found a solution and tried to resolve the problem by having people talk to each other.
Justice with truth.
So I'm giving you one more chance to tell me the truth.
This is Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez. Co-plaintiffs Clara and Devon Norman are suing Shelley Darwin in the amount of $450. The Normans claim Ms. Darwin was contracted to bake their wedding cake, but says the defendant made the wrong cake. Ms. Darwin says the Normans' guests ate the cake she made and claims the co-plaintiffs rejected her offer of a compromise after they called her about the mix-up 2 weeks later.
All rise. Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Cristina Perez presiding. Please be seated. All parties have been sworn in, Your Honor.
Thank you, Bernard. Mr. and Mrs. Norman, newlyweds.
Yes, ma'am. Hi.
How many months?
6 months.
Wow, congratulations. But we are here today suing the individual who made your cake, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what happened?
About 10 months ago, I met the defendant. Was making the final plans for my wedding reception. And pretty much I was looking for a bakery that could design and bake my cake. When I contacted Shelley, she sounded very pleasant and nice on the phone. I explained to her that my wedding was scheduled in less than 4 months, so I was hoping that she'll be able to accommodate me. She suggested that me and Devon come down to her shop and actually work out the details of our cake.
Okay.
She also assured us that she'll be able to accommodate us with whatever we wanted, pretty much.
Okay. And how long, Ms. Darwin, have you had the bakery or the wedding?
I've been in business for 10 years.
10 years. And do you specifically only specialize in cakes and wedding cakes, or is it?
Predominantly, that is my business, wedding cakes.
Okay.
I'm reputable for that.
Okay. All right. So go ahead.
When we actually went down to her shop, she escorted us to a private room in the back where she had 8 cake flavors for us to sample. We chose the almond mocha with the raspberry chocolate filling.
Okay.
And
You both
honestly,
decided on that?
Yeah, we did.
Yes, ma'am.
And
Okay.
it was honestly the best.
All right. So then what happened? And did you also decide on the size of the cake, how many people you guys were going to feed?
We worked out all the specifications. We said it was going to be approximately 100 people. We worked out the size. We worked out different designs. We were able to pick our frosting, all of that.
And then how long did it take you to do all of this?
For us to work out the details, we kind of worked it out within a couple of hours of us tasting the cake. It didn't take
2
that.
hours,
Yeah.
3
About
hours.
2 hours. That's still a long time.
Yeah.
What kind of decorations did they pick for their cake?
They actually had different coloured roses on the top, and it was a beautiful 4-tiered, 3-layered cake,
Wow.
which had royal icing filigree piping. And it was a beautiful, beautiful cake. It's very popular. It's actually probably the highest choice of cakes that we have.
Okay, good, fantastic. Okay, so what happened?
We were doing the cake cutting ceremony, and just like any normal couple, we're romantic, doing it hand in hand. I even took a piece, smushed it in his face. He tried to chase me and do it back, but in the midst of all this, we were oblivious to any details being wrong.
Okay.
About 20 minutes of us, socializing with our guests, we were able to settle down, and at that moment, my husband was able to see, like, okay, these aren't the details we picked. He tasted cake. It was complete. The filling wasn't the same. The cake was, it was like a red velvet marble. Totally, like, not anything we chose. So
what did you two do at that moment?
At that moment, we had already noticed that the waiters had already had half of the cake pretty much cut, and they were serving it.
So they had already, that was my question. So they already had served the majority of the
Yes,
cake?
ma'am. They
It had
not
already-
a majority, about half of the cake had already passed out to the guests and sat on placements in the tables where everybody was
And
sitting.
were the guests eating them already?
The guests were beginning to eat, and we were all sitting down getting ready to eat the cake.
Okay.
And we were talking, everybody was talking and smiling and congratulating us, but as we noticed that the cake wasn't right, we just kind of looked at each other, but we wanted to keep everything calm for our guests,
So
for our
you didn't
family and
say
friends.
anything?
We didn't say anything to anybody
So
that
you
was there.
let them continue serving the cake?
We let them serve the cake because by the time we noticed it, a couple of pieces had already been out on the tables. They have already sliced them. We even had our pieces on our wedding table. So our immediate table and a couple of other guests had already had the cake by the time we finished settling down and socializing with our wedding guests.
What can you do at this point, right?
Honestly, what can you do?
Coming up on Justice for All.
I did offer to also make them a new cake topping for their wedding anniversary, which was going to have the almond mocha and the raspberry chocolate filling that they wanted.
And later,
He pulled out a bottle of champagne, popped it, and then sprayed the crowd with the champagne. He then proceeded to pour the rest of the champagne over his head.
Closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez. We're back with the case of Clara and Devon Norman, who are suing Shelley Darwin for breach of contract.
So what did you do then, Mr. Norman?
I'm thinking in my head that I just paid this woman $900 and she didn't show up with my cake correct. So I'm upset, I'm uptight, but we're trying to hold it together for the rest of the family members and friends that are there.
What did you do to notify Miss Darwin that there was a mistake?
We immediately went to our honeymoon, and returning of that, that's when I contacted her in reference to...
Did you leave immediately there after that night?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. And how long were you guys gone for?
About 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Did you notify anybody? Did you have like a sister or a family member that could have called her?
We didn't discuss anything about the cake or like the mishaps of it. None of the failed details of our wedding did we discuss. Those were things like we might have talked over in the midst of the honeymoon, but once we got back, that was something that I felt we needed to do because that was $900.
So what happened, Miss Darwin?
The cake that they had ordered, the exterior is very popular, and we made 2 cakes of the same kind on the day, and somehow the contracts got switched. And so another couple got the $50 refund, and I also offered to make them with the correct...
A $50 refund?
$50 refund, but also I did offer to also make them a new cake topping for their wedding anniversary, which was going to have the almond mocha and the raspberry chocolate filling that they wanted.
Okay.
I offered that to the other couple, and they accepted, and they offered it also to her. And upon having that conversation with her 2 weeks after the fact that the wedding had occurred, she was in agreement with that offer. And the next day, Devon actually called me and then advised that he wasn't happy with that and wanted the $900 back. I gave him the offer of the cake top and the $50 refund. Then he demanded $450. He said my cakes were crappy. And
Actually, Your Honor,
yes,
I told her I wanted $900 back. I wanted my full refund back. And then I told her cakes were crappy.
And mind you, Your Honor, I actually gave him a 10% discount as well. I gave him a 10% discount, and the cake was given at $900 as opposed to $1,000.
All right. I think that your remedy was not appropriate. I mean, reasonably. Let's just be reasonable. Okay, let's be reasonable. This couple paid you $900 to deliver an almond roca raspberry-filled cake. You made a mistake. You didn't deliver that.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Period. End of story. It's all about customer service. It's all about customer service. That's all it is, Ms. Darwin. We're not saying you did this on purpose. Mistakes happen, but we got to own up to our mistakes. And when it's a contract, you pay for something, you didn't get it, well, then it's natural. That person has a remedy for it, okay? So based on the evidence, I will grant the claim for the plaintiffs, but not in $450, for $900. And I will also request that you make them a cake for their 1-year anniversary, okay? Just a little one. When I did that, I froze it. It was disgusting. So it'll be even better when you do it this way, okay? All right, Ms. Darwin. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge Perez has ruled in favor of the co-plaintiffs. The defendant is ordered to pay $900 and make an anniversary cake.
I hope you're happy. You got a free cake and you ate it too.
As far as I'm concerned, it was your mistake. And at the end of the day, it's about customer service.
Bottom line, cake was crappy.
Coming up on Justice for All.
He pulled out a bottle of champagne, popped it, and then sprayed the crowd with the champagne. He then proceeded to pour the rest of the champagne over his head.
Closed captioning provided by. You're watching Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez. John Crenata is suing Jace Dune in the amount of $5,000. Mr. Crenata claims Mr. Dune disregarded his artist agreement and drank on stage while performing, which resulted in a patron being injured. Mr. Dune claims Mr. Crenata failed to enforce the venue rules and supplied the spilled champagne. Mr. Dune is countersuing for $2,972.
Mr. Crenata, you own a nightclub.
Yes, Your Honor. I've owned it and run it for 9 years.
What kind of nightclub is it?
It's generally a musical nightclub. I have bands come in and perform. We serve drinks. We serve meals.
Now, I understand, Mr. Dune, you were a performer.
Yes, I was.
At Mr. Crenata's nightclub. What kind of musician are you?
We do like an indie rock band, and yeah, we're touring right now, so it was hometown. I thought I'd play a big rock show.
Is Mr. Canada's nightclub a popular place locally?
You know, it's kind of on the down right now, and I thought I could bring some, you know, energy to that place and put on a sweet show. So.
Okay. So what was the deal that you had with Mr. Dune about his performance?
You know, I've seen many different things in the nightclub, and I'm always concerned because Jace has a reputation of being somewhat of a bad boy, and I don't book those kind of acts in my club. But I figured he had a large following, and I figured he could bring in some additional business.
So when you enlist an artist to come perform at your venue, what are the terms? Do you sign a contract, or what is it that you do? I'm sure the artist requests certain things. So why don't you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, yes, Your Honor, we have a standard agreement, which is right here, and both of us have signed that.
Okay.
In addition to which, on the green room wall are a list of rules and regulations, which I'd like you to see. And what you clearly see, I'd like to point out the one on there is no open containers of alcohol on stage.
Okay.
Now, Jace insisted on a rider to the contract that you're looking at now.
Okay, so this is the original. I have a copy of it, but this is the original. Is that correct?
Yes. And in that rider, he asked for several bottles of champagne, several bottles of alcohol, snacks, etc. And we set him up in the VIP room, which is next to the stage.
Okay.
What did you expect me to do with all that?
Huh?
You gave him some champagne bottles, the foods, the snacks he wanted, and you put it in the VIP area.
Yes, ma'am.
Because he knew he could not bring open bottles on stage while he was performing.
That's
and
correct.
That's it. And even in the green room, that's what it said.
And then what happened was he had there was a lot of alcohol in the VIP room, a lot of half-naked women, to be honest. But that's not against...
That's the way he rolls. What can you do?
That's right. That's not against the rules. But what I didn't expect was he came on the stage and he was in no condition to perform. And he stumbled and he started playing off key. But what really did it was, to my surprise, he pulled out a bottle of champagne, popped it, and then sprayed the crowd with the champagne. Okay. He then proceeded to pour the rest of the champagne over his head, causing a lot of the champagne to fall on stage.
How many songs or how many hours was he supposed to perform?
I believe he's supposed to perform 2 sets, and they are, I believe, 1 hour apiece.
How many hours did he perform?
He performed, I would say, before the champagne came out, I would say he performed 15 minutes.
Is that true, Mr. Dune? You only performed about 15 minutes?
No, and actually in the contract it was 90 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was nothing in the contract about me singing off key or anything like that. I could sing however I want to sing.
Well, we're not talking about singing off key. Yeah. We're talking about not performing because you were too drunk.
Coming up.
He didn't help me up or anything, and he didn't seem to take it seriously that I felt.
The security guards helped right away, Your Honor.
Closed captioning provided by... You're watching Justice for All with Judge Cristina Perez. We're back with the case of John Granada, who is suing Jace Dune for breach of contract.
So it's a 90-minute performance that he was required to pay for the $1,500. Is that correct? For the $3,000.
Yes, ma'am.
It was a $1,500 deposit and $1,500 upon the completion of the show.
That's correct.
Okay. So out of the 90 minutes that you were supposed to perform, Mr. Dune, how many minutes did you perform?
I would say 90 minutes.
No.
Mr. Canada said you were drunk. You only performed 15 minutes.
He could not get the songs right. And when Miss Cole fell down...
Before pouring the champagne, how long did you perform?
Well, it would be about an hour.
All right. So what else happened?
Well, after that, so now he's poured the champagne over his head. He's now inviting girls in the audience to come up on stage and dance with him.
Happens all the time with these guys.
Okay. So this young lady, Miss Cole, jumped up on the stage, and she started to dance with him. And about 30 seconds after she got there, she slipped on the champagne that was on the stage, fell down really hard on her knee. I and my security team ran up on the stage to help her off the stage. And that's, as far as after that, we took her off to a side to attend to her.
And that's when the show ended?
And now I believe the show ended shortly after that.
Okay. Why are you counterclaiming for $2,972?
I'm actually doing that for under the contract. There's also a part that says attorney fees.
Did you hire an attorney?
No, but there's also more into that. So if I have to fly here, you know, transportation, and also had to stay in a hotel. So, and then I'm also missing a date. Well, $1,500 for the rest of what he owes me. Mm-hmm. So all that's $2,972 is the total on that. Mm-hmm. I have the receipts for...
Well, you didn't hire an attorney, right?
No.
So then the attorney fees is for attorney fees. Nowhere else does it say if I sue you, I have to pay for your transportation here or anything like that. So $1,500 is what you are claiming he owes you. But here's the problem. You didn't finish the 90 minutes. So, Mr. Canada, why are you suing for $5,000?
$925.50 is for Ms. Cole's medical bills that my insurance company had to pay. I would like to reimburse my insurance company so that
Why do you have to reimburse your insurance
so
company?
my rates don't go up.
Did you have to pay a deductible?
There was a deductible, and they said if this claim goes through, they would raise my rates.
Okay, that's the cost of doing business.
Then I have $2,000 for what I'm calling damages for bad press.
Let me see that.
This appeared in the newspaper the next day.
Any press is good press, Your Honor.
And the other $2,000 I'm suing for is for breach of contract, that he consumed alcohol on stage in violation of the contract and the rules.
And then what is your witness? Who is this witness?
My witness is Ms. Cole.
Ms. Cole, who are you, or how are you related to this incident? Maybe you can shed some light on.
Your Honor, I've been a fan of Jace's music for years. I've been following him online, and...
So you were the young lady who fell?
Correct.
Got it. Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How long did he perform?
About 45 minutes, I'd say.
Okay, 45 minutes? All right. Mm-hmm. How did you fall? Explain to me how you fell and the damages.
Well, he had called me up on stage, and so I started dancing next to him, and then all of a sudden I fell and slipped and noticed that the stage was all wet. He just kept performing and didn't help me up or anything, and he didn't seem to take it seriously that I fell.
The security guards helped right away, Your Honor.
Judge Perez's verdict when Justice for All returns. Promotional consideration provided by...
On your counterclaim, I will deny it flat out because you did not perform the full contract, so why do you deserve the $1,500 extra? And attorney fees, you know, you didn't hire an attorney.
I had to fly here and cancel the show for this.
It's the cost of doing business. Now, Mr. Canada, I will deny your damages of $2,000. You have not given me any evidence to prove that you've lost business from this. I'm still quite not sure why you're suing for the other $2,000. And, you know, the $900 of the insurance, as I said, that to me is part of doing business. You are a nightclub owner. These are things that you expect. I'm going to deny both of the claims. Good luck to both of you, okay?
Judge Perez has ruled. Both claims have been denied.
Listen, you're not welcome in my venue ever again, and I'm glad I don't owe you anything.
It doesn't matter. I can book at any venue around here anyway.
This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.